What's up, guys? I'm Johnny Valentine with Gain Solar. Today's video is about receiving solar panels at your location. If you're a DIYer or you're a electrical contractor or a solar contractor that's not operating on a really large scale, you are going to have to receive material at your location from time to time, and I just want to go over how to receive solar panels if you're getting a shipment from me, or if you're ordering a shipment, things to specify when you order them, and things to look out for when you receive them, so you don't end up with a couple of broken solar panels and a broken heart. Okay, so first thing you want to consider is how you're going to take your delivery. I'm in a neighborhood with a pretty slow street, a street that doesn't receive a lot of traffic, so usually I can just take a full-size truck, and that would be like a 53-foot tractor trailer. Everything comes LTL freight, that's a term, less than load. And when that truck comes, I usually put, since I have a tractor to unload, I put a residential delivery, no lift gate, 24-hour call ahead, and that causes the shipping company to call me. They go ahead and call me 24 hours ahead of time, and they schedule the delivery. As soon as your shipper ships them, they're going to send you a pro number or a tracking number, and that's going to allow you to, watch the shipment as it goes. But when the shipment comes, if you do not have a way to unload it, obviously you need to specify lift gate, and that's going to cost more. But then they would, pull the truck down and actually, put the panels on a lift gate, lower them down onto the ground, and there they'll sit. Some creative things you can do: you can have them lower the lift gate onto a trailer or down to the back of a pickup truck, or even to a porch. I've even had somebody do it right into their house, and then they can use a pallet jack to put the panels down onto that surface. So you need to really think about how you're going to receive these panels. This is about 1,000 pounds. This is a kind of a half pallet. There's 14 panels on this, and I think on a Q-cell pallet there's 29 panels, so it would have been almost 2,000 pounds, which when it's 2,000 pounds and it's under my forks like this, I'm fine. But even on this 50 horse tractor, if it's 2,000 pounds and my forks go in right there, then I'm a little bit tippy. So think about how you're going to receive these panels when you get them. Also, it's a good idea to talk to the shipper and ask how the panels are palletized if you plan on getting less than a pallet. If you're getting a full pallet, your chances of damage are going to be less, but you still have chances of damage on a less than load shipment. So if you're getting a full pallet, it's not as big of a concern, but it is still a concern in my mind always. But on a less than load or an LTL shipment, you want to ask how it's shipped. It might be worth it to pay a couple of cents extra a watt if they're going to ship it with corners. These are the corners. You can see these panels are shipped with corners, and the corners bear the weight all the way down. That's a really nice shipping feature that you get with certain modules. I know REC does it, LG does it, Q-Cell started to do it. And you can see the palletization. You can usually see it on the spec sheet how it's palletized, but if you do some digging, they'll tell you usually how it's palletized. My tractor's just barely rolling right now. I don't know if you guys can see that. But the way that it's palletized is going to contribute to the stability. And you guys, you don't know, and down here in Georgia where we're at, by the time something goes across 3 or 4 states, it's very seldom that I don't get a little bit of damage. So ask how it's palletized, ask if it's got corners, ask if the panels are shipped. Sometimes there's the damage, the purpose of this video, but sometimes the panels are standing, I call it the cassette tape style, and that is the most unstable way of palletizing panels. Who does it like that? I think Trina does it like that. And when they're like that, man, if you order less than a pallet, woo, you better be careful. So what to do when you receive your shipment? What do you do? Well, the first thing you do is you go over it with a fine-tooth comb Sometimes they've got black shrink. Look at my tractor still rolling. Sometimes they've got black shrink wrap on them. And if it were me, I would cut all the shrink wrap off and I would go through the panels. And if you think you see any damage, you need to start looking for broken glass. You also need to look for any damage at all. And if there is any damage, it's got to be noted with the shipper. So here's a copy of the, I think this is the bill of lading, freight bill or whatever they call it. And I've got my addresses covered up. But you can see I made the shipper note that the skid was damaged, 2 solar panels, dented and bent, consignee accepts, and there's my number for my exception. So you can see this says lift gate required, which I didn't need, but they did it anyway. Call for appointment. And what we have here is a situation where the solar panels were damaged. Luckily I caught it, walked around. They looked perfect when I pulled them off. But you can see I got one panel that's got a obvious forklift mark, and then this panel has got just a little dent in it. So this one's, they're probably both still good, but they're in no condition to sell to a customer. But your best move is to report the damage and report. If you're gonna, you can either, if the pallet looks so bad that you don't think you can take it off, there's been times when I've actually rejected the pallet. So this pallet is kind of destroyed underneath, and there have been times when I've totally said, no way, I'm not taking the pallet, and sent it back. In this case, I accepted the shipment, but I noted the damage with the shipper, and that is usually going to cover you and get your panels replaced or get you a credit from your distributor. So those are some things to watch out for when you're shipping. This Q-Cell pallet, though, I'm very impressed with it. It's put together really well. Some of the pallets you see are just terrible, but this one's all solid wood and it's super sturdy. Because you need to make sure, I don't necessarily recommend that you take every single panel off the stack, but I have done that before. And if you need to do that, you need to get 2 people and you can pull them off just as quick as possible. If you do decide to take every single panel off the stack, what you would do is you'd get a person on either side and you would pull the panels off, and on a flat level surface you set one that way, then set the next one that way, next one, next one, next one, next one. And by crossing them Jenga block or tic-tac-toe style, you're basically making the long edges of the panel perpendicular to the one on top and the one on the top. Stacking like that, you can stack them really fast and stable, and that'll keep you from having to fidget with the locking the corners back as you're inspecting the panels. Because once you inspect them and realize there's no damage, you can put them back on the pallet and strap them back the way they were when they came. But you don't want to keep the driver waiting forever, but you obviously need to inspect your freight and make sure it's not damaged. And if it is, make sure you note it. Solar panel damage is super common. If you absolutely have no way to take a big truck at your location, but you have a trailer or a pickup truck, you can ask that the panels be delivered to the nearest freight terminal or the hub where, you know, it's the LTL shipment's going to come out of. So for me, there's a place like 45 minutes away where all the UPS and R&L carriers and ABF, they all have their freight terminals in kind of the same area. So if I wanted to, I could ask that they keep the panels there, and then I would go pick it up, will call. And when you do that, always there's going to be a forklift there, and they can load that onto your trailer or your truck. You'd want a trailer that you could take the gate off of, or a flatbed or deck over trailer. Another way is if you have anybody that you're friends with that can take the delivery for you. Maybe your neighbor's got a farm tractor, or you have some friends that have some kind of a business with a loading dock. There's another way. So you got to get creative when you're taking delivery of these panels. But whoever takes delivery, whoever signs for these panels, make sure you go over them with a fine-tooth comb, because once you accept it and sign for it, your chances of being able to get a claim for concealed damage are very, 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 very slim. So hope this video helps you guys.
So you can really avoid headaches by ordering one or two extra panels. The easiest way to do it is to order a full pallet, and that's going to be the most stable way too. Once the pallet's broken, it gets a lot more unstable. But if you do have damage and one or two panels are broken, none of the distributors these days are actually shipping replacement panels. They're only issuing credits. So ordering a couple extra can really save you a headache.
So I want to get you ready for the kind of things you might see. This guy thought this pallet was totally good, and then when he really started looking at it after the driver left, he realized that the bottom panel had there'd been a little bit of a shift event. So this one luckily wasn't broken, but a close call. All right, this one is really important that you look at this, guys. A lot of you think you can get a residential liftgate delivery and you'll be fine, but a lot of time the pallet is wider than the liftgate, and you actually have to follow the pallet down with the forks of the tractor and hang it over as you drop it down off the liftgate. So think about that before you just say, I can take the delivery. Here's some smashification, and then a lot of bad stacking going on. This is what happens when you take panels off a pallet. Anytime they come off the pallet, they're subject to shifting. Perfect example of a little broken glass underneath. And here's some more shifted panels. They might be all right. Oh, there's the corner saving the guy. And then there's a bad one right there. Probably no good. Ooh, that's just terrible. Can't say much about that. There's one where they're probably good. Those ones just look like they were scratched a little bit. Another really common failure point on these pallets is if they have the bottom is made out of like fiberboard or really cheap plywood. You set the pallet down, and then a couple of weeks later it kind of collapses on itself. But look for the shifting, obviously. And then another thing you want to look for is there anything stacked on top of the pallet? If something really heavy is on top of that pallet, then it can contribute to micro cracking down the road. You don't want that, so be looking for something heavy. And this rounds it up, guys. I hope your panels don't get broken and you never have to see anything like this.